So in the last session, we have discussed about the ORM feature, and by using this ORM feature, how we are interacting with the Salesforce objects through programming, and how can we manage the records inside the objects through programming. It may be a single record, it may be a related record, it may be the bulk records also. How to manage the records inside those objects, we have discussed practically. Okay, now today we'll see one more new feature, subprograms. Subprograms. So what do you mean by a subprogram? Basically, sub in the sense part, subprogram in the sense part of a program. Okay, now for example, so now whenever we are performing any operation, whenever we are performing any operation on any task, we are splitting the task into the various small pieces, because we can manage those small tasks very easily. We are splitting that operation into various small pieces. Okay, now for example, whenever we are having the food also, we can able to divide that food into the various small pieces. We can take each and every piece and we can have it. Whenever we are building any product also, like as a mobile, it may be any product, whatever we want. Upon building that mobile product, it's not a single part. Internally, it will be having so many internal components are available. Small parts are available. They are building each and every small part separately. Finally, they are going to be assembling all these parts together to make it as a mobile product. You can take any product also, whatever we have. Anything available in the real world, okay, this has been made up of by dividing to the various small parts. Like the similar way, whenever we are going to be implementing the business logic also, we can divide that business logic into the various small parts. We can able to group all those parts together. Okay, we can group all these parts together. Now, for example, come to a general scenario. I'm having a notepad. I'm having this notepad application. Notepad is a ready-made software which is having so many features inside this. Now, by using this notepad, we can able to open a new notepad document. We can save the existing content inside a separate file. And then we can able to copy some of the content. We can paste some of the content. We can search for some content. We can replace some content. We can close this notepad application. We can send the document for the printing. So many operations we can do. In this case, all this code, nothing but to perform all this operation, they have written some business logic separately. Each business logic, they are going to be making it as a separate independent unit. Now, like for example, now as soon as once you click on this open button, open menu item, it is opening that open file dialog box. So this is the open file dialog box, which is a modal dialog. When you click on that notepad, it won't allow. First of all, we have to give the response to this. Then only it will allow you to go back to that notepad application. So now, as soon as once you click on that open menu item, so they have written some piece of code which is going to be opening this open file dialog, so that we can select any of the file which you would like to open inside this notepad document. Suppose, for example, okay, if you want to prepare a new one, click on new button, which is going to be opening that the document. So to open this new document, okay, they have written some piece of code. Now that piece of code will be executing upon click on that new menu item. So now, for example, I have written some content inside this. I have written some content. So now, as soon as once you click on the save button, now the save file dialog box has been getting open. To open this save file dialog box, they have written some piece of code which asks me to specify a file name and to select the location. Then whatever the content that were written inside this document, that content will be storing inside the specified location with the specified file name. Now, So now once you click on this particular printed document, print a menu item, it will be sending this document for the printing purpose here. And then as soon as once you click on that, the find, we can able to search for a particular content also. We can copy the content, we can paste the content, we can select all the content, multiple options are available. That means what? This entire Notepad application has been split into the various small features. Initially, they are building each and every feature separately. They are going to be grouping all the features together to make it as a Notepad application. Like the similar way, whenever we are going to be implementing the business logic, we are going to be writing the business logic by dividing into the various small pieces, that each piece is called as a subprogram. Subprogram, that means that it's a part of a program. It's not the complete business logic, it is a part of that business logic here. We are going to be segregating the business logic to the various small pieces, because at the time of maintenance, it will be very easy for me. Okay. So now for that reason here, what are the business logic we are going to write as part of your application development? That business logic we are dividing to the various small pieces, that each piece is called as a subprogram. It's a part of a program which will do some operation. Like that we can build the so many business logic, and finally we can able to group together to make it as a application. So in this case, to make it as easy to maintain, to make it as easy to understand, to reduce the complexity inside the application, to make that application development very simple, we are going to be dividing that whole application to the various small pieces, that each piece is called as a subprogram. Like the similar way, whenever we are developing a project also inside the real-time implementation, we can't start developing the project directly. First of all, we will analyze the project requirement. Based on that, we are dividing that project requirement into the various small modules. We are dividing that entire project requirement into the various modules, like as HR module, finance module, admin module, banking module. Like that, we are dividing into the various modules. Each module will be having some sub-modules also. In each sub-module, we are going to be writing the business logic. We are performing some certain operations. Like the similar way here also, upon implementing the business logic, we can divide that business logic into various small pieces, that each piece is called as a subprogram. Okay. Now in that subprogram, we are writing some statements. We are writing some piece of code which we need to execute. Okay, which we need to execute that. Okay. So now here in this case, what are the various types of subprograms are available? Now let's see practically here. Okay, now make a note of this one. Upon building the application, we can divide the application requirements into the various smaller pieces. Where each piece contains a set of statements to perform a particular operation. Where each piece contains a set of statements to perform a particular operation. Now, to avoid the complexity in the application development, we are decomposing the business logic into the smaller components, into the smaller pieces called as subprograms. To avoid the complexity in the application development, we can decompose the business logic into the smaller pieces called as subprogram. Each subprogram contains one or more statements. Each subprogram contains one or more statements. Each subprogram contains one or more statements. Okay, now each subprogram contains one or more statements. Now, so now here in this case here. So now in this case, when coming to the subprograms, we are having two categories of subprograms are available in Apex programming. Okay, we have two categories, or the two types of subprograms. First one is procedures, second one is functions. First one is procedures, second one is functions. Then what is a procedure? What is a function? Both are called as subprograms. Procedure is also performing some business logic, and then function is also having some business logic. Then what is the difference between these two? Now in this case, subprograms has been subdivided into two types. First one is procedures, second one is functions. First one is procedures and the second one is functions. Now what do you mean by procedure? What do you mean by function? What a procedure contains, what a function contains. Now, what is the difference between these two? Okay. Procedure? Procedure will return or not? Okay. So now whenever we are going to be implementing some functionalities, okay, whenever we are implementing some functionalities, for example, assume that today I'm depositing some money into my bank account. As per the company policy, as per the bank policy, whenever the amount has been credited or debited into your bank account, immediately it has to send one SMS notification to the customer's mobile number. Now, so now tell me, will the SMS will be delivering in all the cases? Sometimes message will not be delivered because there is a problem in the email server, so that it is unable to send the email notifications. Even though the email notification has been sent, it won't unable to deliver to the recipient people's email ID. That means what? As a bank policy, they have sent a notification. It has been delivered or not, they won't bother about that. They won't take care about that responsibility. Because as part of our responsibility, whenever the money has been debited or credited, we are sending that email notification. My system has sent the email notification to your email ID, but it has been delivered or not, I don't know. I'm not bothered about that. If you have any doubt whether if you did not get any email notification, if you did not get any SMS notification, if you have the doubt whether the amount has been credited or not, go to the nearest ATM center, please verify the balance. Or else if you are using any mobile banking, check the balance inside through by using that mobile app. But they won't bother about whether the email notification has been delivered or not. Okay, that means what? Simply they are sending it. Whether it has been delivered or not, they won't bother about that. They won't take care about the responsibility. This kind of approach, that means fire and forgot. Okay, fire and forgot here. This kind of approaches we can implement with the help of procedures. When coming to the procedures, procedures are purely like as fire and forget options. Just that means we are going to be executing that procedure. We are executing that business logic here. But it won't return any value. That means we are not expecting any confirmation back. Okay, we are not expecting any confirmation back. Like for example, so now whenever we are shooting a particular bullet by using a pistol or by using a gun, then will it be giving the confirmation, boss, I have reached to the destination? No, right? Just we are going to be triggering that. Okay, once you press the trigger, it will be reaching to the target here. It may reach, it may not reach, but you won't get any confirmation back. That means simply fire and forget options. In this kind of situation, we can able to go with that procedures. Procedures are purely fire and forget options where we can able to invoke the procedure which will perform some operation, but it won't return any result back to you. It won't return any confirmation back to you. Simply it will be performing some operations. It won't return any result back to you. It won't give any confirmation back to you. Okay, but when coming to that, the functions. Functions are like as request reply features. Whenever we are going to be invoking the function, it will perform some operation, it will be returning some result back to you. Okay, it will be returning some result back to you over here. So based on the result, we can able to decide. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I would like to reserve a movie ticket. In order to reserve the movie ticket, I am using that Book My Show application. I selected a movie, okay, so which has been released today. So now I selected that movie theater and the show timings, and then I selected the seat also, and finally it is asking me to make the payment. Once I click on make the payment button, it is redirecting me to that banking application. I have entered my credentials inside the banking application. When I click on pay button, then it will be transferring the money from my account to the theater people's account automatically. So now, in this case, what will happen? Now this Book My Show application is waiting. Why it is waiting for the confirmation? From where? From the banking application. Okay, the bank application has to give the response. Because to reserve the ticket, to reserve that seat, first of all, money has to be get transferred. So now that money transferring will be taken care by the banking application. So that once you make the payment through the bank, so now once the amount has been transferred successfully, then the bank application is giving the confirmation back that successfully money has been transferred. So please go ahead to reserve the ticket and send the confirmation back to the customer. Suppose if the money is not transferred, it will be giving the message back to that Book My Show application. Now transfer is failure, so please don't reserve the ticket over here. That means what? We are going to waiting for the confirmation. Based on the result written by the bank application, we can decide whether we can reserve the ticket or whether we can cancel this operation. In this case, what happened here? We are making some request, we are getting some response back. We are getting the response. Based on the response, we can able to initiate the remaining operations here. Okay. So at that time, if you want to get some confirmation back, then we can go with that functions. So that functions are also the subprograms which will perform some operation, but it will return some value back to you. Okay. Which will be returning some value back to you. But the procedure won't return. Both are having that business logic. Procedure is also having business logic, function is also having business logic. But just the difference is, procedure will not return any value, but the function will return the value to this is the only difference. That's what they have differentiated that here. Depends upon your requirement. If you want simply like as fire and forget option, then you can go with this one. If you want request features, then go with that functions here. So depends upon your application requirement, we can able to go with any one of this functionality over here. Either procedure or function. Then how to implement the procedures? What are the other subcategories of procedures are available? We'll see practically now in this case here. Okay, clear? So now when coming to the procedure is also like as a subprogram which contains one or more number of statements. Which contains one or more number of statements, or which is also having business logic. Upon click on the procedure, upon invoking the procedure, it will be performing the operation. Once the operation has been done, it won't return any value to the calling environment. It won't return any result back to you. Simply to perform the operation. That's it. When you go to the function is also like a subprogram, which is also having business logic, which is also having some statements internally, which will perform some certain operations. Once the operation has been done, it will return the result back to you. It will be giving some confirmation back to you. Okay? It's like as a request and reply options. It's like as purely the fire and forget options over here. Okay? Clear? Now make a note over here. Procedures. These are the fire and forget options or fire and forget features which contains the business logic, Upon invoking the procedure, it will perform the operations and it won't return and it won't return any value to the calling environment. It won't return any value to the calling environment. Okay? It won't return any value to the calling environment. It won't return any value to the calling environment. Next, the function. Functions are like as request reply features, like as request reply features, where each function contains one or more statements inside it to perform the operation. Once the operation has been done, it will return the value to the calling environment. It will return the value to the calling environment. When coming to the functions, functions are returning the value to the calling environment, but the procedures are not returning any value to the calling environment. These are simply like as fire and forget features. These are working like as request and reply features. When you make the request, it will give the response back. Done? Now. So now tell me, okay, I will give you some procedures and function names. Let me know, is it a procedure or function? Okay. What it is? Procedure or function? Is it returning any value to you? Upon click on that, upon using the system.debug, simply it will print the value. That's it. Will it be giving any result back to you that I have printed successfully? No. It won't giving any result back to you. That means what? When coming to the system.debug is a procedure. Whatever the input value that are supplied, simply it is printing that. It may print or not. Okay? It will do the operation. Once the operation has been done, it won't give any result back to you. Boss, that I have printed the result successfully. It won't give any confirmation that. Until or unless you are not looking into the debug log file, we don't know whether that message has been printed or not here. We have to go to the debug log file. There we need to see whether this welcome message has been printed or not. Until or unless you are looking into the debug log file, we don't know this statement has been worked properly or not. Because it is not giving any result back to you over here. Okay? Now, for example, math.mod. I'm indicating some value, okay, 10 comma, what it is. Procedure or function. Why function? Because it is returning the value. What is the value it will return to you? 0. Because here modulus operation is going to purely returning the reminder value here. Okay. Now, next. After that, I'm using that. Equals function. Is it what? Equals function is for what? To compare the two values are equals or not. If both are equals, what it will do? It returns True. If both are different, then false. So in this case, what happened? It is returning some value, either true or false. So it is what? It is a function. Next, I'm having an array. Okay, I'm having an array. I'm using that size method. Now, what is this method now? Is it procedure or function? Function. Why function? Size method is returning how many number of elements are there inside your array. Okay, now that means what here? Based on the functionality, we can recognize whether it is a procedure or whether it is a function. If it is not returning anything, that means procedure. If it is returning something, then it is a function. Okay, if it is not returning anything, that is procedure, or else it will be function. Okay, now. So now here in this case here, how can we define the procedures? Now let's see practically in this case. Okay, now in this case, procedures. Now, so let's see the concept of procedures. So when coming to the procedures, okay, procedures has been subcategorized into two types. Okay, again, procedures has been subcategorized into two types. As of now, you know what exactly the procedure. Procedure is nothing but a sub-program. That means it's a part of a program which contains some small business logic. Okay, which contains some small business logic here. Okay, which will do some operation. Like for example, when you take a human body also, it's made up of so many small parts. Each part will be doing some different operation. When you combine all these parts, it's like as a person, like as a human being person. Like the similar way, upon building an application, we are writing the business logic. That business logic we are dividing to the various small pieces. So that each piece is called as that subprogram. As part of subprogram, we are having a type called as procedure, where when coming to the procedure, it is having some set of statement. It may be one statement, it may be multiple statements also. It is having some certain statements inside that to perform a particular operation. But once the operation has been done, it won't return any value to the calling environment. Simply it will do the operation. That's it. But in this case, whenever I'm going to be invoking the procedures, whenever I'm building the procedures, we are having two types of procedures are available again. Okay, we have two types of procedures. Now, the first one is non-parameterized. Second one is parameterized. Two types of procedures are available. Non-parameterized procedures, parameterized procedures. Then what do you mean by non-parameter? What do you mean by parameter? Simply now tell me what do you mean by parameter here? Input. Okay, input values. Okay, input values. Parameter in the sense simply input. We can give some input to that particular application. Okay, now. So in this case, now that procedure may be having some input parameters or it may not be having input parameters also. Okay, now, for example here, assume that I'm having that array name dot size. Now tell me here, it is a function, for example. Now, is it a parameterized one, non-parameterized one? How do you know non-parameterized? Simply we are opening the braces, closing the braces. We are not passing any value over here. Okay, now I'm using that system dot debug. Now tell me, is it parameterized or non-parameterized? Parameterized, because we are giving some input to value over here. Now, we are having math.mod. Now tell me, is it parameterized or what here? To perform the modulus operation, what we need to do? We need to pass that values. Now tell me, is it a parameterized or non-parameterized? Parameterized, because we are passing some parameters. Parameters means what? Some input values we are supplying over here. Now, for example, I'm having a login screen. Login screen is having parameters or not here? For the login screen, what are the input we need to supply? username, password. That means it is a parameterized here. That means what here? Whenever we are going to performing some operations here, at that time, sometimes we need to give some input. Based on that input, it will perform some respective operation. Sometimes we no need to give any input. Without giving any input also, we can able to do some common operations. At that time here, if you are passing some parameters, then it is called as parameterized procedure. If you are not passing any input values at runtime, then it is called as non-parameterized. Okay? Clear? Depends upon the requirement, we can make it as parameterized, non-parameterized. How to do that one? Now let's see practically in this case here. Okay? Now let's see practically in this case. Procedures. Now, procedures has been subcategorized into two types. Procedures has been subcategorized into two types. First one is non-parameterized procedures. Second one is parameterized procedures. First one is non-parameterized procedures. Second one is parameterized procedures. Then what do you mean by these non-parameterized procedures? What do you mean by these parameterized procedures? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, first we'll see the syntax here. First one we'll see the non-parameterized. Now let me give that small point inside this one, non-parameterized. In this approach, the procedure doesn't require any input values. And the second one, in this approach, the procedure requires the input values. Based on the input values supplied by the user at runtime, it will perform the operations. Based on the input values supplied by the user at runtime, it will perform the operations. Now, then when coming to the non-parameterized, that means no parameters, no input values. But for that parameterized, we have to supply some input over here. Okay? Now. So now here in this case here, how can we define non-parameterized procedures? We'll see practically. In this case, now tell me where we can provide all these procedures and functions, all these things, all the subprograms we have to place inside what? Class. Okay? Whatever the procedures or whatever the functions you are implementing, all these things you have to define inside the class. Okay? Because that already we have discussed that a class can have one or more variables, one or more procedures, functions, properties, constructors, all these things. So that here, as part of subprograms, we are having procedures and the functions. So these subprograms, that means these procedures and functions we are defining inside the class. Okay, all the procedures and the functions has to be get implemented or defined inside the class here. Okay, now make a note of this one. All the procedures and functions should be defined inside the class. Now tell me how many procedures we can have inside a class, how many functions. Do we have any limitations over here, or can we have unlimited? Unlimited. Now, a class can have one or more procedures and functions. A class can have one or more procedures and functions. Both we can able to place within the class. Inside a class, we can able to place n number of procedures, n number of functions. There is no limitations. Okay. Now in this case, how can we implement the non-parameterized procedures? Okay, the first one, non-parameterized procedure. Now tell me, what do you mean by non-parameterized procedure? Now, will it be requiring any input values at runtime? No, not required. Okay. So now non-parameterized procedure does not request any input value at runtime. Directly it will be executing some operations. It is performing some business logic here. Okay. Now, in this case, how can we define this non-parameterized procedures? Okay. Upon defining the non-parameterized procedure, we have to follow the syntax. Okay. We have to follow the syntax. We have to specify the access specifier and the return type as void. Void means what? Void in the sense nothing. Because the procedure is not returning any values, so that I am indicating that. So now this is simply nothing. It is not returning anything, so that I am indicating the return type as void. And then give the procedure name. Open the braces, close the braces here. Here you can write the business logic. Okay, write the business logic. So when coming to the non-parameterized procedures does not expect any input values from the user side at runtime. It won't expect any input values. It will be having some business logic internally by default. That business logic will be getting executed, but it won't return any value. Now you know what exactly access specifier, what access specifiers are available inside your Apex programming. You know that concept. And then you can give the procedure name. But now in order to indicate that here we are using that, this is a procedure, so that I am indicating the return type as void. Void means nothing. It is not returning any value, so that it is a simply procedure. Okay. Now, in this case here, for example, now tell me here. Okay, now tell me, I will give some examples. Now tell me, is it procedure or function? Okay. Now tell me, is it a procedure or function? How do you know procedure? How do you know procedure? Is it a procedure or function? First of all, we have to identify. So now what is the return type of this one? Void in the sense what? Nothing. It is returning anything. If it is not returning anything, then what it is? Procedure. Now tell me, is it a parameterized or non-parameterized? How do you know? It is having simply open braces, close braces. So it is a non-parameterized. Okay, now I'm having that. Now tell me, is it a procedure or function? How do you know? Return type. Now simple blind thumb rule. If it is having the return type as void, procedure. If it is other than void, straightforward function. That's it. Okay. Now, is it a parameterized function or non-parameterized? Parameterized. How many parameters we need to supply? What are the types of those parameters? String type. Okay. That's it. Now, for example, I'm having that. Now, public void Now tell me, is it what? Procedure. What type of procedure it is? Non-parameterized procedure. I'm indicating that. Now tell me, is it what? Procedure or function? Procedure. What type of procedure? Parameterized procedure, which is expecting one ID type of parameter. So that here a blind thumb rule is, whenever you are looking into the structure, whenever you are looking into the definition, if it is having the keyword wide, straightforward, it's a procedure. If it is other than wide, okay, if it is integer, double, decimal, account, whatever it may be, any other than wide, if you identified, then it will be straightforward function. Okay, now this is a plain thumb rule over here to identify whether it is procedure or function. And then to identify whether it is non-parameterized or not, here just to look into the structure here. Are we passing any parameters over here? No. Just we have opened the braces, close the braces. So that here it is a non-parameterized. Here we are having two input values. Here this is non-parameterized. This is parameterized here, simply. Okay. So whether we are supplying the values or not, we can identify. Based on that, we can decide whether it is parameterized one or non-parameterized one. Okay. Clear? Now in this case here, in this case non-parameterized procedures. Okay, now we are going to be indicating that access specified and then void and then procedure name. And then we are not passing any input values, so that just we are opening the braces and closing the braces. Here you can write that business logic inside this. Okay, clear? Now for example, I'm preparing a class. Okay, public class, some math operations. I'm preparing a class with the name math operations. Inside this, I want to perform some operation, like some mathematical operations here. I'm indicating public void addition. We can write some business logic inside this. I want to get some account records information. For that one, I'm indicating get all records. I'm writing the business logic. I want to send some email notification to the people. Public void, send email. I'm preparing the procedures. Like that. That means what? Whenever we are going to preparing the procedures should be always placed inside that class. Okay, that's what I already told you here. When coming to the class is nothing but a physical entity or a blueprint which contains some set of members inside this, which will be achieving encapsulation feature. Encapsulation means what? Grouping the set of related features together. Now, these are the various procedures which I am grouping together inside an entity called as class, where the class will be having some set of procedures or functions also. Those may be parameterized, those may be non-parameterized also. Both we can able to place inside that class. Not only one, not only two, n number of procedures also we can able to place inside this. Okay? Clear? Now, so that here when coming to that subprograms, as part of subprograms we are having the procedures. As part of procedures we are having two types again. Non-parameterized procedures which does not require any input values. And then parameterized procedures which will be expecting some input values at runtime. Based on that input values it is performing the respective operations inside your application. So whenever I'm defining that non-parameterized procedures, non-parameterized procedure does not request any input values at runtime. Directly we can able to call, okay, by using the procedure name itself. Okay. Now, in this case here, now these procedures are we are placing where? Inside of what? Procedures we are placing inside of what? Class. So then in this case, these are also members of class, right? If you want to access this procedure, then what we can do? What we need to do? To access the class members, what we require? object. So we need to create the object of the class. Then how can we access that procedure? Object name dot procedure name. Previously, we have invoked that, we have called that the variables by using what? Object name dot variable name. It may be to assign the value, it may be to retrieve the value also. We are accessing the variables by using object name dot variable name. But now this is a procedure, simply we are going to be accessing by using object name dot procedure name. Okay? Clear? Now. So now here in this case here. Now make a note. Now. Once the procedures has been defined inside the class, we can invoke the procedures. We can invoke the procedures by creating the object of the associated class. We can invoke the procedures by creating the object of the associated class. By creating the object of that respective class, we can able to invoke that procedure. How can we invoke the procedure? Now let's see the syntax. We can specify the object name dot procedure name. Okay, object name dot procedure name. For example, I'm having my class like some math operations. I'm creating the object as a math operations class. M operations equals to new math operations. I'm calling the procedure here. M operations dot send email. We are calling that procedure. M operations dot get all records. M operations dot addition. Like that we can able to call the procedures also. Once the procedures has been defined with the required business logic inside the class, then we can invoke that procedure by using that object of the class. We need to create the object of the class, and then we need to access that procedure by using object name dot the procedure name. Okay, so this is the syntax we need to follow. Is the screen is visible to you? Or else come to this side. Done? Now. So now in this case, whenever we are going to be preparing the procedures, as a step 1, create the class first. You know how to create the class, how to define the members. So create the class first. And as a step 2, inside the class, prepare the procedure and write the business logic. And then as a step 3, invoke that procedure from execute anonymous window by creating the object of that class by using object name dot procedure name. Okay? Clear? Now, let's see the practical mechanism now. So let's take a small use case. Let's take a small use case. So write an Apex class to insert a lead record inside the object. Write an Apex class to insert a lead record inside the object. Now, so now I think you know that how to create the lead record through programming. What needs to be done? Create the object of the lead class, supply the value for all the lead record fields, and then insert the record. Now just that piece of code I'm writing inside the procedure. That's it, nothing else. Because as of now, we have written that code where in the execute anonymous window. If I'm writing the code inside the execute anonymous window, now the code will be saving permanently inside the metadata repository. No, the code will not be saving inside the metadata repository. But what I want to do, I want to save my code inside the metadata repository, because in future I can able to reuse that same code again and again and again. For that one, I want to write that code inside my class. If you want to write the code inside the class, then you have to prepare that procedure. Prepare the procedure inside the class, and inside the procedure write that business logic. Once you save that class, this business logic also will be saving inside the metadata repository permanently. Whenever you want, we can able to call this procedure, okay, from wherever you want. Okay, that facility is available to you. So that here, to make that code to be saving inside the metadata repository permanently, I'm writing that business logic by defining that the subprograms. It may be procedure or it may be function. Now in this case, I want to create a class. In that class, I want to prepare a method. In that method, I'm going to be writing that lead record creation code. Okay. Now, these procedures and functions are also called as methods. Just the terminology difference over here, nothing else. Okay. Now, so now tell me how can we implement this one. I'm going to the developer console. So it is loading the developer console editor. Now, so I'm creating a new Apex class now. Okay, I'm creating a new Apex class. I'm giving the name called as lead helper. Okay, I'm giving that class name as lead helper. Now my class has been prepared. Now tell me what we need to do now. Inside the class, what we need to prepare? Procedure. Now tell me how to prepare the procedure. Public void procedure name. Now tell me what is the name that you want to give for the procedure. My requirement is I want to create that new record. Okay, I want to create a new lead record inside my object. Now what is the name? Give me a meaningful name. I'm giving the name as create new lead. Okay, I'm giving the name as create new lead. Just by looking into that procedure name itself, we can understand what is the functionality of this. No need to look into the code. Okay, now my procedure is also ready. Okay, I have prepared that class. Inside the class, I have prepared a procedure. Is it a procedure or function? How do you know? Void. Okay, now simply plain thumb rule. Now tell me, inside the procedure, what we need to write now? Lead record creation code. That's it. Then, in this case here, how to create the lead record now? Generally, when you go to the execute anonymous window, we are creating the lead record. How? Just by creating the object of that respective class and then supply the values inside that record over here. Same procedure, nothing different. Same code we are writing here also. Okay. But in this case here, let me tell you here. Let me show you that difference. I'm creating the lead object class, lead class object here. LD equals to new lead. Now, I'm adding that lead dot first name. I'm indicating some Sampath. Lead dot last name. I'm indicating like some Kumar. Okay, I'm writing like this here. Now, the same code I'm writing like here also. Lead, some LD equals to new lead. Okay, I'm saving this. Now let me write this code here. LD dot first name. What is the difference here? Then what is this? This feature is called as what? Intelligence. Okay. Now tell me here. We are getting the intelligence. Now first name. I'm indicating like as some sample. Lead dot last name. I'm indicating some Kumar. Lead dot title. Now I'm indicating like as some software engineer. Now tell me, this kind of intelligence is available in the execute anonymous window? No, we don't have that. But inside this developer console, we are having this intelligence feature. If you are having the intelligence feature, do we need to remember the field names over here? No. Directly just you can specify that object name dot, we can able to get all the fields here. Each and every field will be getting visible to you. What field you want to indicate here, you want to write, just you can select that field like as primary. It will be including automatically here. No need to remember the field names inside the developer console. So I'm indicating that. Now lead dot company. I'm indicating like as some cognizant. Lead dot status. I'm indicating open, not contact. Lead dot rating. I'm indicating the value heart. Lead dot industry. I'm indicating like some technology. Lead dot annual revenue, some 23 lakhs. Lead dot phone. I'm indicating the value. Lead dot fax. I'm indicating the value. Lead dot website. I'm indicating that. And then I'm inserting that lead record. Insert LD. That's it. The similar piece of code we have written, nothing different. But there we have written in execute anonymous window, but here I have written inside my procedure over here. But the difference is when you go to the execute anonymous window, this code will not be saving into the metadata repository. But this code will be saving into the metadata repository. And then the second difference, here you won't get any intelligence feature. Every column name, every field name you have to remember. But here you are getting the intelligence feature over here. No need to remember the fields. Okay, these are major difference that we have. Okay, but this code we can't make it reusable. This code we can make it reusable. Because whenever you want, wherever you want, if you want to call this method, directly we can call by using object name dot and the procedure name. That's it. Okay, clear? Now, once the lead record has been getting inserted, I'm indicating that if lead dot ID is not equals to null, I want to show the message system.debug lead record has been created or inserted with the ID lead.id. I'm saving this class code. So inside the class, I have prepared a procedure. In this procedure, I am going to be writing this business logic here. This business logic, you are aware of that. This is not a new one. Just we are writing inside the procedure, that's it, to make it reusable. Done? Okay. Now let's see. So now once the code is ready, once the business logic is ready, then how can we invoke this business logic now? How to invoke this business logic? By creating the object of that class. Then how can we execute that here? Go to the execute anonymous window and then create the object of the class. So what is my class name? Lead helper. So now I'm indicating L helper equals to new lead helper. Now invoke the procedure. How to invoke the procedure now? What is the syntax? Object name dot procedure name. That's it. L helper dot. What is the procedure name that we have? We are having that create new lead. Okay, that's it. So now L helper dot create new lead. That means object name dot procedure name. Okay. Now, so create the object of the class and then you can access that procedure by using object name dot procedure name. This is the way. We are going to be writing the code and then we are executing that code also. From now onwards, every business logic we are going to be writing inside that procedure only. Okay? Because so that we can make that code reusable, we can make that code to be saved inside that metadata repository. Okay? Now, let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute. The request has been sent to the server. See the results inside the debug log checkbox. Select the debug only checkbox. See the result. Now it is indicating that lead record has been inserted with the ID. This is the lead record ID. With the name Sampath Kumar, lead record has been created successfully. I want to cross check that whether the record has been created successfully or not. Go to your Salesforce instance. Go to the leads. Now we have that lead record is available, Sampath Kumar. What are the details you have entered? All these details have been supplied to the lead record. It has created the new lead record to me with the details whatever we have entered inside this. Okay? Clear? Understood the concept here? Create the class. Inside the class, prepare a procedure. In that procedure, write the business logic here. And then we need to execute it from the execute anonymous window with the help of object of that class. Okay? Clear? Now. Let me paste this code. I'm indicating here is from the developer console. And then execution. Now, understood the concept here? How can we prepare the procedure? Now let's write a small example on this. Take a use case. Write an Apex program to create a hiring manager record inside the object. To create a hiring manager record inside the object. In my hiring manager object, I am having few fields are available, like the name field, location field, email ID, contact number. These are the fields are available. By supplying the values, I would like to create the record. You know how to create the record, just you have to write the code within that procedure itself, nothing else. Okay. Now, so let me prepare that. Now, can I write the procedure inside the same class or not? Yes, because a class can have multiple procedures also. Here you will be having the region symbol. If you want, we can expand. You can able to collapse that code also over here. Okay, you can click on that. You can expand and you can collapse that. This will is called as the region symbol. If you want to prepare one more class, then you can prepare this. Or else, if you want to write inside the class only, we can write no problem. Okay. So now let me prepare another class. Now, I'm creating a new Apex class. Hiring manager helper. I'm indicating hiring manager utility. I prepared that class with the name hiring manager utility. Inside this, I'm preparing a procedure, public void, create HR record. Okay, create HR record. Now, I'm going to be indicating that I'm writing the code to create the hiring manager record inside this. Hiring manager underscore underscore C, some HR record or HR equals to new hiring manager. Okay, now once you are done with the object creation over here, save it, because to get the IntelliSense feature. Sometimes if this object is not yet saved, it will take some time to get the IntelliSense feature. Okay, after writing this object creation, save that class code, then you will be getting the IntelliSense immediately. Okay, now we can pass the values. HR dot name. I'm indicating like as some Sandeep Kumar. HR dot location. I'm passing the value some Hyderabad. HR dot contact number. I'm passing the value. HR dot email ID. I'm passing the value. PAN number. No. I'm inserting the record. Insert HR. Once the record has been inserted successfully, if HR.id not equals to null, I want to show the message. System.debug, hiring manager record has been created with ID HR.id. I'm creating the record inside this object. Done? Now. So let me show you how can we execute it. I am creating the object of the class. Hiring manager utility HR sum util equals to new hiring manager utility. Now we are going to be calling that method. HR util dot. We are going to be calling that method create HR record. Now, here I will show you one simplest format. So in this case, we are creating the object of the class and we are going to be calling that method by using object name dot method name. Sometimes you can raise a question. Sir, I don't want to create the object of the class. I want to call the class method directly over here. Like for example, assume that I'm using system.debug. System is what? Debug is what? System is a class. Debug is a procedure, nothing but method. How we are calling? Class name dot method name. Okay. Now, for example, I'm having math dot mod. Math is what? Mod is what? Math is a class. Mod is a method. So in this case, how we are calling? Class name dot method name. We are using date dot new instance. Now date is what and the new instance is what? Date is a class and this is a method. How we are calling? Class name dot method name. Like the similar way, but here we are not creating any object of system class. We are not creating any object of math class and date class. Directly we are calling class name dot method name. So that we no need to create the object here, so that we can save the memory also. Because memory will be allocating for objects, not for the class. So in this case, I don't want to create the object directly. I want to call like this. Then what is the mechanism over here? In this case, upon defining this procedure, simply we can specify the keyword static. Okay, public, static, void, the procedure name. So now between that public and void, I'm indicating a keyword called as static. Suppose if I'm defining the procedure as static, then static methods can be accessible directly by using class name dot method name. That's it. No need to create the object here. Okay. Static methods can be accessible by using the class name dot method name. Okay. Now let me show you practically in this case. I don't want all these things here. Simply, I want to access my method. So now what is my class name? My class name is hiring manager utility. Dot, what is the class name here? You will be having the method name is available. What is that method name? Create HR record. Now just you can specify. That's it. Class name dot method name. So that static methods can be invocable directly by using class name dot method name. No need to create any object here. Okay? Now. So now let's click on execute. Request has been sent to the server. We can able to see the result also. Select the debug only checkbox. Now it is indicating that hiring manager record has been created with the ID. This is the ID of that hiring manager record. Now, so let me check the record for my confirmation. Go to the hiring manager. Now Sandeep Kumar record has been created successfully. What are the details we have specified? With those details, it has created the record inside this. Okay? Clear? Now. Just we have to define the method as static method. Static methods can be accessible just by using class name dot method name. Okay? Now, let me place this code. Now, I'm giving the note point here. Static methods can be accessible without creating the object of the class. We can invoke the static methods as below. The syntax is we can specify the class name dot method. Class name dot method. Now, make a note of an assignment. Write an Apex class to create a hiring manager record and an associated position record inside the object by using static methods. Okay, try this assignment.